them all what I'm made up. Strut down the hall, won't stop till I get enough.
All right, so we're diving deep today into some pretty tough news coming out of the NCAA Women's Tournament.
Yeah.
With the injury to USC's JuJu Watkins.
Right.
And for you, the learner out there, we're going to break this all down so you can really get a sense of what happened and, what it all means for USC going forward.
Absolutely.
So we've got some great articles here all about the injury and, reactions from coaches and some analysis. And what we really want to do is go beyond just those headlines and, give you those insights that you really need to understand this.
For sure. And I think what's so important here right off the bat is, we're talking about a team that was a serious contender for the championship.
Oh, yeah.
And they just lost arguably the most impactful freshman in the country.
Absolutely.
And this is happening, right as the tournament is really heating up. So.
Right, at crunch time.
Exactly.
So, the news is that JuJu Watkins suffered a torn ACL in the first quarter of their game against Mississippi State. And, what's crazy is that they actually ended up winning.
I know, I saw that.
By a huge margin, like it was 96-59.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet victory for sure.
It is a bittersweet victory for sure.
You hate to see a player go down like that.
You do. And she went down hard, after getting bumped by a couple of defenders while she was bringing the ball up the court. And
oh, gosh.
It was, it was clear she was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
They had to carry off the court.
I mean, anytime you see a player needing to be carried off, it's serious.
It is.
And it just, makes you think about how, these athletes put so much on the line every time they step on the court.
Right.
It's not just the physical risks, but the mental strength it takes to come back from something like this.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable.
Yeah. So going back to the actual play itself, the officials did review the contact that led to the injury.
Okay.
And they ruled it a common foul, and they didn't, change it or anything.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the Mississippi State coach, Sam Purcell,
yeah.
He actually came out and, spoke about the play.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said that his team, they don't play to hurt anyone. He called it a really unfortunate situation.
Of course.
And, he also defended the player on his team who was involved in that contact.
Right.
Really emphasizing that, she's a good kid. There's no intent to injure.
Yeah.
And he even kind of appealed to people on social media,
Oh, I see.
to just be understanding about the whole thing.
Well, that really speaks to the kind of microscope that coaches of players are under these days.
Absolutely.
With social media. I mean, one play can be dissected and debated endlessly online.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Coach Purcell was trying to get ahead of that,
right.
to protect his player from any, unfair criticism or backlash.
Totally. And, it does raise this question of how do we really assess, intent versus just an accident?
Right, especially in a game as physical as basketball.
Right, exactly.
There's going to be contact.
There is.
And sometimes those things happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, so shifting gears a bit to USC's side of things.
Right.
Coach Lindsay Gottlieb obviously had a lot on her mind.
I can only imagine.
But the thing that really stood out was how proud she was of her team.
Okay.
You know how they just rallied after Watkins went down?
Yeah.
She talked about their depth and their character and how you really see what a team is made of when things go wrong.
Absolutely.
And, she felt like they really showed who they are in that moment, not just by winning the game, but by playing for JuJu.
It's so important to have that kind of team spirit,
It is.
Especially in a situation like this.
Yeah. You see that true leadership coming out.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, can they bottle that up and carry it with them throughout the rest of the tournament?
Right.
Because they've got a tough road ahead.
They do.
And now without their star player, it's going to be even harder.
So it's also worth mentioning that Watkins actually had some minor issues going into this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she had taken a few knocks to her left hand and ankle in the previous game, but she had practiced fully and was cleared to play.
Okay.
So it's, just a little bit more context about, her physical condition going in.
So it sounds like the ACL tear was a separate injury.
Right. It was a result of that contact during the game, but it's still a reminder that, these athletes are often playing through pain.
Oh, for sure.
And, pushing their bodies to the limit, especially in a tournament like this.
Yeah. It's easy to forget that they're not superhuman.
Right.
They're dealing with aches and pains just like the rest of us.
Right. And to really understand how big of a loss this is for USC.
Right.
We got to look at what JuJu Watkins was doing on the court.
Yeah.
Her stats this season are unbelievable.
I bet.
I mean, she was averaging almost 25 points, 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists,
Jeez.
over 2 steals, almost 2 blocks per game.
That is incredible.
She was their go-to player, you know?
Right.
And the reason they were even considered a national championship contender.
Right.
And she was the front runner for National Player of the Year.
Wow.
And get this, she accounted for over 30% of USC's total scoring this season.
That's a huge chunk of their offense.
It is.
So to lose that kind of production,
Yeah.
you know, it's got to be tough.
It's got to be tough.
It's not just about replacing her scoring.
No.
It's about replacing everything she brought to the game.
Yeah.
Her playmaking, her rebounding, her defense.
Her
you know,
energy, right?
Exactly. It's going to take multiple players to fill that void.
And yet, you know, they did pull off that win against Mississippi State.
They did.
And Kiki Iriafen really stepped up big time. She had 36 points.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, Coach Gottlieb was ecstatic
Rightfully so.
about her performance and just the team's overall response.
Right. You know, it shows that they do have other players who can step up.
Right.
But the question is, can they do it consistently? Especially against those top teams.
Right, because Watkins, you know, she drew so much attention from defenses.
Right. It opened things up for everyone else.
Exactly. And now without her, you know, can Iriafen and the others keep performing at that level?
It's going to be interesting to see how they adjust.
Yeah. And speaking of adjustments, let's talk about USC's path forward.
Right.
The article is pretty blunt about how difficult it's going to be now.
Yeah.
They're facing Kansas State, the number 5 seed in the Sweet 16.
Right.
And looking ahead, you know, if they get past them, they could be looking at UConn, UCLA, or even South Carolina.
That's a gauntlet.
It is.
And, you know, historically speaking, it's really rare for a team to lose their best player this late in the tournament and still make a deep run.
Yeah.
I mean, upsets can happen.
For sure.
But you usually need your stars to be healthy and playing well to win it all.
So this Sweet 16 matchup against Kansas State, that's going to be a huge test.
It is. It'll tell us a lot about how they're adapting to this new reality.
Yeah, and it's clear that this injury has really impacted the entire basketball community.
Yeah?
The article mentions that Aaliyah Boston,
Oh, wow.
you know, the former superstar, sent a message of support to Watkins,
That's awesome.
which I think speaks volumes about the kind of respect that Watkins has earned in such a short time.
She's a special player.
She is, and there was also mention of, you know, some emotional exchanges between players from both teams.
Oh, really?
After the injury happened.
Yeah. I mean, it's a high-pressure situation.
Right.
Emotions are running high.
For sure.
And, you know, you've got these young athletes who have poured their hearts into this season.
Yeah.
So it's understandable that things might get heated.
So, all right, the learner, let's bring it all together for you.
Okay.
What are the key takeaways from this, you know, this deep dive into this tough situation?
Yeah.
First off, I think it really highlights how unpredictable sports can be. You know, 1 minute you've got a star player leading the way,
Right.
and the next minute their season is over.
It's a harsh reality.
It is. And, you know, losing a player like Watkins, it completely changes USC's chances of winning a championship.
No doubt.
But on the other hand, we also saw a team that showed amazing resilience.
Yes.
They stepped up in the face of adversity.
They did.
And they played with heart.
They did.
And their coach, you know, she really focused on the team's collective strength.
Yeah. And that's a powerful message, you know.
It is.
It's about coming together when things get tough.
Exactly. So this situation really makes you think about how teams adjust when they lose a key player.
Yeah.
How do their strategies change?
Right.
How do the leadership roles within the team evolve?
Right.
And, you know, it might be interesting for you to think about other examples in sports history where a star player went down and how their teams responded.
Did they overcome the loss?
Yeah. Did they rally and achieve unexpected success?
Right. Or did they crumble without their leader?
Right. And, you know, we also got a glimpse into the world of social media and how it impacts these athletes.
Yeah.
And I think it's a reminder that, you know, behind the headlines and the stats, these are real people with real emotions. So our final thought for you to consider is this.
Yeah.
Even though we've been focusing on a difficult event, you know, for JuJu Watkins and her team,
Right.
this situation also showed us the unpredictable nature of sports.
Absolutely.
The power of teamwork.
Yeah.
And the importance of perseverance.
It did.
It makes you think about the balance between individual talent and the collective effort of a team
For sure.
when they're faced with a huge challenge.
It's inspiring to see how they respond.
It is.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
All right. Until next time.
See ya.
This has been the deep dive.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.